Hi there, knife people. Hello, lady and gentlemen. I am having so much fun. This is Microtech Luminary. The latest, greatest has a zero play blade system, meaning there's no play in all three axes. And I'm already torturing it, and that necessitated disassembly, cleanup, dry out, and reassembly. It's going to be a kind of long video, but super interesting because you'll find out exactly how it stays zero play. Let's get into it. I'll start by saying that this knife will need to be opened, cleaned, dried, and lubricated. The reason is, even though I only had it for a couple of days, I already started testing it in harsh conditions to see how this new style Microtech performs compared to previous Microtech models and other OTFs. This is the first time I am disassembling this knife. You will literally be finding all the intricacies and secrets out as we move along. Obviously, it's a screwless, quote-unquote, construction. To take this knife apart, you only need to remove this screw/lanyard hole. And as usual, we're going to de-energize the knife to hold firmly to the blade and then actuate the switch. And you need to unscrew from the show side. That screw is removed. You don't need to remove anything else. This slides forward like less than a millimeter and should pop right off. Yep. And of course the switch will come out. And it's a titanium switch backed up by a spring. This is water. I had the knife submerged completely underwater. Dual spring construction. The engine looks a lot more complicated, at least in a profile, than the others. These screws never need to be removed. You will void the warranty if you remove these screws. They're just here to capture the cover, and that's what makes it screwless, quote unquote. Okay, this is not coming out easily, so it's captured somehow. There you go. So it's captured by these screws. Okay, so I pressed on this and it twisted and came out. These gates or stop bars, they look very similar to any traditional Microtech, so I won't be removing them. I don't see any differences in this compared to, say, Cypher 2, which I have a disassembly video about. So all the magic that is creating this free of play lockup happens here somewhere, and looks like this will not come out. This needs to be unscrewed, and that makes me a little nervous because I have no idea if I'm supposed to do it or will it void the warranty. It looks like maybe T15 or T20. What do I have here? I think I have T20. Let's try that. Yeah, it looks like T20 may fit. Oh, it's tight. It's Loctited, and I don't know if there's, I don't know what these three dots represent. Let me take a minute and think about it. Okay, I think I solved the mystery. If you look in here at the very end of the blade, there's a set screw that can only be accessed from this direction, and it looks like to do so you need a long flat screwdriver that will go through this hole, so I'd have to remove the clip and the glass breaker and use a long stem thin screwdriver to come at that set screw. Feels like less than 20 inch-pounds torque here. When the blade is in rearmost position and locked by the bar here, it's not that hard to come at that set screw. Can't quite tell. And looks like the stem on this driver is a little too short, forcing me to come at the screw at an angle. So I still need a different driver here for this. This screwdriver here was a little bit wide, so I shaved off just a few thous of metal. Now it fits. So let me give you a dimension. Right. 87 at the very tip. What is it in millimeters? 2.4, 2.5 millimeters. Should do it. But this was not Loctite. The screw is vertical, the slot on the screw, so you don't need to completely pull it out, I think. I think at this point you should be able to unscrew this guy. Yep, it's coming out. Neat. See how this explains a lot. Okay, see the taper here? This taper right here. And now we can get the gate out of the way and move this. You can see the set screw protruding here, by the way. That taper, I bet you, matches this taper that continues along the entire sliding slot, and that's what precludes it from wobbling from side to side. Now here you go. Let me drop it in. Yeah, so this, I don't know, call it bushing slash bearing. I think you can actually qualify it as a bearing because there's a bearing pressure between the fillets here and the fillet on this piece of hardware. I don't know quite what to call it. How about a UFO, unidentified filleted object? Because it looks like a flying saucer. Now I'm sliding the blade out. I have no desire to deal with the locking gate, so I'm holding it in place. Aha. Very interesting. Okay. Very simple here. So the complexity is all in this device. Incredible. Incredible. It slides in, and this angle here drives it. See how it's like a cam? The cam drives this is the cam and this is the cam slot. It drives it into a locked position. Anyway. And so this taper here is what creates this lockup. So the spring pushes the blade, it hits it with force. You can see the anodizing is coming off there a little bit where it engages the surface here, right in there. And I just noticed the blade looks like a rocket ship. All right, so now we're going to give it a little bit of a cleanup. Now, another thing I already noticed, and I probably pointed it out in the torture test video that you need to see. I'm not sure which one I'll probably post this one first. Look at these two slots. When the blade is all the way in, yeah, so first of all, that's what engages the locking gate. It's a camera effect when your hand's shaking when you're in front of the camera. So engages like this. So these two tabs that protrude there on the tang of the blade, they sort of act as air pistons. They press the air out as the knife is being retracted, and it comes out these back slots. And that happens with the water, but you have to watch the other video to find out how it performed in adverse conditions. So let me take, I don't think I cleaned it enough, so I'm going to take it out again. Very elegant solution here, folks. I'm in love with how simple it turned out to be. You know what? Let me also make sure there's no debris on the threads here. Ah, fat fingers or butter fingers. All right, drop that in. It cannot be overstated how great yet simple this design is. So catch the slot there and tighten. Okay, and it stops at a certain position, and that position, let's see if it's repeatable. Okay, it was vertical when I started. The slot on the screw was vertical. Right now it's at maybe 11 o'clock. So I'm going to torque it back to where it was. It pays to remember these things when you disassemble a knife. I went right to 12 o'clock there. And now I can bring this into free sliding here. Let's look at the lock tabs here. Very nice. They eliminated any chance of you having issues reassembling if you had to take the springs out. And they are being smart. This is white lithium grease by the looks of it. Of course, I can't wait. I don't have a way to test it, but instead of putting gasket or any other sound attenuating device, they just filled the spring winds with white lithium grease. It's very similar to what Chris Reeve provides with their knives. You know, so if I want to add a little, I could. This also tells me that very likely this is titanium. You know what? I didn't test any of these components. Let me grab a magnet. All right, let's test that. No, that's steel. Looks like everything is steel here. All right, I'm looking at this wear pattern. So I'm going to give it a little bit of a loop here. That's a little too much. I'm just going to smear it, kind of almost wipe it off. Just like so. Give it a little. It's not just sound. If you're going to get it wet, like I did in the other video, you should mind the springs are usually less corrosion resistant. And because they're in contact with metal, they're more prone to corrosion than other components. If I recall correctly, I need to get it in like this, on an angle. See, this is straight, this coming in on the angle, and then it drops in, like so, nice and easy. Kaboom. Now, this was rattly for my taste, so I'm going to do this. I'm going to stretch the spring just a hair. Just a little bit, just maybe 10% stretch. That's what I gave you. Those are tritium inserts. Now, placement of the spring is important. See how the recess for the spring is down on the lower side, and it is the lower side. It cannot go in like this. It has to go in like so, so that the spring ends up under the tab here, and the tab is sitting over the spring, and it's slotted into the switch like so. And then you drop the cover on push it back with your thumb. It doesn't take a lot of motion, almost imperceptible. But then if you're not in the right spot, the threads on this screw will not line up. Make sure the button is moving freely. So I discovered that, like, let me show you Cipher 2 here. If the blade is de-energized, free floating, to lock it back in, so now right now knife is not functioning, right? To lock it back in, I just pull it, and there's, let me show you again, there's enough play there that allows the blade to go past the gate and lock in, past that stop bar. It locks in, and now it's functional. Here, because it's zero play, there is no past the bar. It's gonna not give you enough clearance to lock in. So you need to push it back, and I found that this motion will move it all the way back, and now it will function. Or sometimes if you hold it down like this, you can do it. And now there's no play. So once it goes past the lock bar, you could see the cams into this diagonal slot there, filleted slot, and it's deadlocked. All right, this video was not exactly what I would call a disassembly reassembly. It was more of a deep dive discovery video, and I'm very excited. I think this knife will be significant, fundamental even, in the progress of OTF designs. I also think it will be crazy expensive, even in the regular production version. This knife came out of Luminary set that also included this anniversary flashlight from Surefire. I don't know if I should call it flashlight or a lightsaber. Anyway, the price was exuberant. I think the production price of this knife will also be exuberant. I will talk a little bit more about it in my actual test and review video. I also had a chance to test the hardness of the blade, and I'll go over all my findings in the video that will be posted shortly after this one, probably within a week to 10 days. So stay tuned, subscribe, and please share this video link with all your knife enthusiast friends, because I don't think anybody has done this disassembly yet. You will void the warranty if you remove these screws